My dudes, my guys, my freaking boys. Today we're going to do a little bit of fuel system stuff on the K24 all-wheel drive Civic Wagon. I'd like to get it all like mocked up and figured out how it's going to work before I pull the motor to do everything else. So in this video we're going to do that. Also, special thanks to Evil Energy. They sponsored like all this stuff. We'll go through it here in a minute. Alright, so we got the rig pulled up here. Now, not going to say I'm very unhappy with this header, but I'm kind of unhappy with this header. So this header is really close to the firewall, as you can see here. This is our fuel feed line right here, and you can see there's like, if I was to put an adapter on that, it would end up like right here, and then you would still need a 90. And yeah, clearly that's not gonna happen. So what I've seen Young Static do on Instagram is he took this and kind of bent it that way. So what I'm gonna try to do is bend it that way, and then my idea with that was I got something temporary just for now because I'm going to end up swapping that header out. So I don't want to do anything too permanent. Is I got this, which is brake line. I got an adapter. And so instead of running the soft line, because we got PTFE, so I don't want it to melt or anything. So instead of running the soft line like real close to the header here and having to like heat wrap it and all kinds of stuff, my idea is to be able to have this in here because a lot less likely for this to melt than an AM line. So we're gonna make this work. I'm gonna end up cutting it to length and then adding the end on it and stuff like that, so that we're gonna take the fuel line around this way and then go through here. I've seen people run it down through there before, which is probably a lot cleaner, but I'd rather just it come up here and around like that. So let's start working on that. All right, now that we have the header out of the way, take this. You have no idea how to bend this safely. Oh, there it goes. It's kind of going. Seems to be bent probably enough before I kink it. Yeah, the trick with this is bending it without kinking it, I guess. Yeah, there we go. All right, now our fuel feed line is much tighter to the firewall, and I can put my hard line on there with the union like this, and then I can bend that the way I need it to bend to stay close to the firewall. Alright, so I did kink it a little bit, but for what we're doing, it's good enough for now. Because like I said, I don't really like this header. After I get the car running, I'm going to end up building my own header, and then I'll just be able to run straight into this. And I won't have to worry about any of this. This is just temporary to get the car running. So as you can see, this will sit in there like that. It gets us tight up against the firewall, just like what we're trying to do. So let me go ahead and put the union on there and on here, and then we can figure out where we got to cut this to start running our AN line. All right, everything's going downhill quickly. This union does not fit that for some reason. They're the same size hose, just the ends are different. I'm assuming because that's for like a fuel line or whatever, and this is technically for a brake line. So I'm gonna have to do what I didn't want to do and cut this and add the thing right onto there and then heat wrap everything. I really don't want to do that, but kind of got no other option, so we're going to do that. All right, now we have our compression fitting here, and the way this works is this piece goes on first, right here. It goes all the way back, and then you put your little compression sleeve on there. Let me see if I can get a better view. Put a little compression sleeve on there, and then this guy will go down until it bottoms out, which is right there. I can feel it bottomed out, and then we're just going to tighten that onto there, and we're going to use our Evil Energy an adjustable wrench, and then I don't have two, so we're going to use a normal wrench on the one, and one's going to get really messed up, and the other one's not. So yeah, all these fittings are Evil Energy, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up real quick and catch up with y'all after it's tightened up. All right, now we got the compression fitting on. You can see this side is marred up on all the corners from the I don't know if it's focusing or not, but it's from the regular wrenches on this side and the adjustables on this side. You can see the adjustable's perfect, and this side's all chewed up on all the corners. But yeah, so now we're gonna go into our box of Evil Energy goodies that I already opened everything and threw it all on the floor, and we're going to find a 45. Need one of these, and then we need a fuel rail adapter, which should be this, and then a straight, which should be this. So we're gonna grab all that, and then we're gonna need our fuel line. All right, so originally when I ordered with them, I thought I was gonna run a straight here and a straight here, but the 45, man, look at that. It's like perfect, right where I need it to go. So we're gonna try to keep that there. I don't remember if I need this on that side or not, but if I do, we can always run the straight there, but the 45 looks killer. So now we have to measure up how much we need to get around there. And the easiest way I found to do that is just to open your box that is taped and then take your line and kind of just like lay it in there and mark where you need. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. All right, so what I'm thinking here, you can see I just have it overlapped, is I'm gonna run this fuel line like this. So I probably can tuck it in between there, but with the header being there and all that stuff, I don't really want to. You can see I have the tape on there. That's how I'm gonna mark it. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right in the middle of this, and it should be the exact length that we need, and then we can start putting fittings on. The easiest way I've found to cut this stuff is just with a cutoff wheel. People do it different ways. I like to cut it with a knife if it's not steel braided, but this has steel braided stuff in it, so cutoff wheel works nice. Got a nice clean cut. You just have to make sure that you cut it straight. That's the biggest part. You have to cut it straight. So that looks pretty good. A little doohickey on the end, but that should be fine. It's cut pretty straight. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I've never done PTFE before, but I have watched some videos. But the reason why I went with the Evil Energy PTFE stuff is because I 150% plan on putting this car on E85. And E85 will eat up normal like rubber hose. So I definitely, when I was ordering all this stuff, I knew I wanted the PTFE stuff. I wasn't gonna settle for less than PTFE. So all right, first thing we got to do is get this down past. So you can see we just have the bottom on here, and then my understanding is we need to use a pick or something. Or, I think I have a screwdriver right here. Everything covered in metal shavings because we're on my work table. Prime conditions for doing fuel lines. A very dirty cut table. Alright, yeah. And my understanding is with this side here, we have to open up the braided stuff so we can slide the sleeve over. So I'm working on that now. Get that open, you can see it started like that. Now this only goes in one way, and I'm not sure which way it goes in. Oh no, it only goes in one way, okay. So it's gonna be bevel side down. So if you can see this piece right here, right there, there's a lip on this top side here. So this beveled side has to go down on the hose. And getting in there's probably gonna be a pain, because it's gonna be a tight fit tool. Yep. Alright, so it's bottomed out on there. You're probably not gonna be able to see in there. Now I should, in theory, be able to shove this down in there. Yep. And then this should come up, and it's gonna cover all that braided stuff back up over top. And then I can go ahead and tighten this up. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we hold the hose and push this down. We don't want this to slide out. So we don't want this to stay still and just push that out. We want this to come up. So we need to make sure this stays together as we do this. But I'm going to need my AN wrench for this. So I'm going to grab that, and I'll check back in after I have this tight. I need to order more AN wrenches or something. Because now that I've owned one of these, if you've never owned one of these, game changer. But now that I own one of those, I have to have more of them now or something. Because I can't stand not using them on AN fittings. The issue is that steel wrenches are harder than the aluminum fittings, so they just destroy the fittings. So you're trying to keep it all nice and stuff, it never works. While we're tightening this, I know I've probably said it 1,000 times, but super shout out to Evil Energy. They really stepped in and helped out. Not a lot of people like messing with smaller channels like this, but anytime I've asked them for help or something like that, they always reply. They're always super nice, and they always get it done quick. And they don't bug me about how fast to get stuff done, which a lot of other people have. They kind of just let me go my own speed, which I cannot thank them enough. They're great. All right, that's one side done. You can see it right here. Let's start on the other side now. All right, there we got it. Our AN line is put together, so we're gonna go ahead and slap this in, test fit it. All right, there we go. We got the one side done. And it looks kind of goofy right here because I left extra in case I ever want to run this straight. So the line's a little bit long, which PTFE, you really notice it, but should be good enough for what we're doing. Now, I got to figure out where we are going to put the fuel pressure regulator. So I'm going to run a fuel pressure regulator. And in my head, I was going to run it like right here or right here. I just have to figure out what I want to do there and build some kind of mount and all that stuff, because the fuel return is right here. So I'm going to do a compression fitting on that, which I got to figure out how I'm going to cut it. I bought a tool for that, so hopefully it can fit down there. But I'm going to do that compression fitting on there and then come up out of there. That might actually need that other 45 I just put on there. So we'll see when we get there. But for right now, I'm going to put this here and figure out where I'm going to mount the fuel pressure regulator. This is how dealing with the AN lines always works for me. So I ended up using a 45 here because it's a lot cleaner. Completely forgot I have a fuel filter I need to put in there somewhere, somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but it's an issue for later. So I'm going to go over here. And as you can see, in my mind, I don't know why I thought this could just run straight. Clearly this needs to be a 45 to a 45. Don't have that. I'm going to have to order that. But for the sake of this video, we have plenty of line. I'm just going to run straights and we'll see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and get this line made. And I just self-tapered this in just for right now. When I pull the motor back out, I'm going to like redo. This was sitting there. This is the power steering. We're not going to have power steering anymore. Well, we are later, but that's a whole different story. But that used to sit there. So all that's getting deleted when the motor comes back out again. Like I said, all this stuff in here right now is just for mock-up purposes. Shout out to CJ. I was actually able to use the tool on this side. So we can just go in here now. That's going to hold the bottom in place. And then I can just turn this and push this line down as I do it to make sure it doesn't try to pop up. It takes two hands, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. I ain't going to lie to y'all, that might end up staying. That's pretty clean. That's not bad. All right, now I got to move all this stuff, all this junk here, take this line off, cut it, and then I can do a compression fitting there, and I need a line that goes from there to down here. So that line's gonna have to come out, come up, and that'll probably put like a 90 on that because it's facing kind of like this. That way it'll face down anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on that. So that back line I just cut with a cutoff wheel because I'm like that. This one, there's not really room to get it in there and cut it straight. So I have one of these guys here, and it's just a pipe cutter. You just turn this and it tightens around it, and you rotate it around and it'll cut it. The only thing that I'm concerned about is it having enough room between the clutch cable. Worst case, I pull the clutch cable out. It's getting removed anyway. We have a Hush Performance cable to hydro kit on the way. And just like that, we got the top of that thing cut off. Now we can try to put our compression fitting on there. The only thing I'm concerned about with that is there is a lip in this thing down here. You can see, I'm concerned about that. But hopefully we don't need to concern and it will be fine. Let's find out. As you can see, it's overcast, but it started raining. Yeah, so, but got this line in for the fuel return right there. We have this kind of soft mounted where we're gonna put it. I gotta figure out something to do with the fuel filter, if this is even gonna work how I thought originally. But yeah, it's gonna be into this one. Super thank you to Evil Energy. Super appreciate it, guys. Thanks for always helping me out, always supplying me with the AM lines. I've never had a single issue with any of these things, so I'm very excited to try this PTFE stuff. At some point, this car will go in E85. I already have the RDX injectors in it and all that stuff if you saw the last episode of this build. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see y'all later. Peace.